Hey guys, I think I somehow messed up the live stream and it started a new link. So what I need to do is make sure this link gets out to everybody. So if you'll just bear with me 1 second while I figure this out. So let me figure this out, and we will start up in just a second. Sorry, what happened? I accidentally I accidentally went live on the pre-set up live stream and then stopped it, and then once I started it again, um, it started a new link. So I just have to, well, people will figure it out, I suppose. I posted the link to the actual live stream on that one, so yeah, anyway, I think we're good. All right, let's see. Who do we got? We got Undead of Night, Jennifer Goupil, and Liz Miller so far in the chat. Uh, Thank you all for tuning in. You are watching Art Autopsy. This is a bi-weekly live stream with me. I'm Clint Carney, your host. I'm a professional artist. I work in the film and television industry, and every 2 weeks I go live and I create a brand new painting, and that's what we're going to do today as well. And I encourage anybody who's watching at home to get your art supplies together and make some art right alongside me. You don't have to paint. You certainly don't have to create what I'm creating. Just whatever you want to. And if you join in every 2 weeks and you make some art, when I make art, pretty soon you're going to build up a nice body of work and something to be proud of. So without further ado, I'd like to just start out by saying thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. So thank you, Jennifer, Tango14, Travis, Anthony, Rachel, Derek, Sea of Dead Faces, Violet, Jill, Charlie, Misty, Donna, and Necro Technicon. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. There's a link right above my head to my Patreon if you want to go support me over there. But you can also sign up for the free account if you just want to get notified about live events and things like that. So, that being said, if you do make art during this live stream, please email it to me. My email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will feature your art on an upcoming broadcast. So without further ado, we're going to start off by showing you some viewer art that was made during the last stream. So, first one here comes from Jennifer Goupil. This is, I believe, an acrylic painting. Jennifer's in the chat, so she can enlighten us. But I really love the composition on this. The colors are super rad. So, Jennifer, any insight you can tell us in the chat about this one would be greatly appreciated. Very nice work with not only the composition and the colors, but also the shadow work coming from the moon. Very cool stuff. So, thank you so much for submitting. Next one up comes from Liz, who goes by the artist name Phoenix, who is also in the chat. And this is another cool selection of insects from Liz. Very cool stuff. Oh, my other camera's making noise behind me there. So yeah, Liz, if you want to tell anyone in the chat too about your work, super cool. Yeah, love both of these submissions, so thank you guys so much. Jennifer and Liz are like the rock star heroes of submitting work to, to highlight an art autopsy. They rarely miss a week, if ever, so I really appreciate you guys. Yeah. Anyway, one quick bit of promo, and then we're gonna get started with making some art. So, for those of you who are new to this, you can find my art. I have originals and prints and all kinds of stuff available over at clintcarney.com. You can also find links to this YouTube channel over there, and links to my Patreon and all sorts of stuff. So there you go. Now let's start by showing you how the painting that I started in the last art autopsy turned out. So this is it. I still think I want to make a few tweaks on it. I'll try to angle it to get a little better look at the color there. Yeah, pretty happy with how it's turning out. There's just a little bit of detailing I want to do still, and maybe push his ears a little further back into the shadows. And yeah, but it's pretty close to being done. Close enough to where I wanted to share it with you guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, without further ado, let's start a new painting, right? So doing something a little different today. Instead of toning it in like greenish gray that I normally do, today I toned the canvas in, or it's actually a board, I toned it in red. Just trying something different. You don't have to tone your canvas at all, but I certainly think it helps to lay down a good foundation and prevent all the bright white of your surface from showing through. And then the other thing I did today that I don't do, I probably never did it on these live streams before, but I just threw a very quick grid, a very rough grid too, probably not great measurements, but I divided it into thirds because once again I'm just going to be doing some wild oh wait, am I, let's see, oh, there's a bit of a delay here. I just want to make sure that this is actually, I'm on the right screen. Okay. All right. I think this is right. Anyway, okay. Sorry, I'm having just technical issues on my end, and I wasn't sure if it was coming through in the stream or not, but it looks like it's working out all right. Okay. So anyway, again, just kind of shooting from the hip. I have a general idea of what I want to do in my head, but I just wanted to throw these lines down. Basically, this just divides it horizontally and vertically into thirds, and it will just help me in general with the composition. Basically, if you put some focal points anywhere here on the intersection of these lines, it makes it a little more pleasing to the eye. And it doesn't have to be right in those intersections, but just kind of loosely around there. It's a good idea just to have a feel for how that canvas is divided up. So that's where we're going. And now we're going to paint some random stuff. So because I laid down a red as the tone for the canvas, I'm actually going to do this underpainting in a green palette. So I'm going to squeeze out some green and some white and some black onto my canvas, and I am just going to make a gradient selection, and we're going to start painting. I'm going to get these colors down, make a quick gradient on my canvas, and I'll show you the palette so you guys can understand what I'm talking about here. And how is everyone doing today? I encourage everyone watching to certainly participate in the chat. There's always lots of cool artists that are participating. It's a great way to meet other artists and talk about art. I try to keep up with the chat as I go, but sometimes, sometimes I get stuck just focusing on the painting. So you guys can talk amongst yourselves. it will make things more interesting. Okay, so I squeezed out some green, I squeezed out some white onto my palette, and let me just lift this up here so you guys can see what's happening. And now I'm just kind of mixing a little bit of a gradient. So I have some tones in between my green and white, and I'm being kind of loose with it. You know, I'll end up mixing up more as this goes on. And then here we got our black, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of green into the black as well. And that is a super rough and dirty gradient, but you know, I'm not fancy over here. That will do for my purposes. And always good to have a rag on hand to wipe your brush with and so forth. So let's start painting. I'm going to, as I generally do, start with one of these chisel tip brushes. This one, oh, that one's got some baby powder on it. I was clearly using that for a mold. Anyway, this one's in pretty rough shape, but that's okay. I'm just using it for a quick sketch. And just for the sake of this sketch, I'm going to start with just the straight up olive green and just dilute it a bit with my odorless terpenoid that I have here. And we're going to start putting a shape together and see what it comes out with. I'm going to do, you guys are probably, well, anyone who's familiar with my art has seen me do similar pieces where I kind of do like a morphing of faces together and things like that. And I think that's kind of what I want to do now as well. Do another, and these always end up looking like me because, you know, I've certainly drawn myself more than anyone else just in practicing. So yeah, I'm just going to start laying in some facial parts and blending them together. And this is going to be a mouth / eye socket here. Come in with a nose over here. And we're just roughing in some shapes to start with. Let's see, let's get another mouth going on here. And yeah, this is probably going to be made up of 2 or 3 different faces, and I want each one of these faces that's involved in here to kind of come in from a distinct angle, but all morph into a single face. If that makes no sense to you, that is quite all right. It will start to make sense as I go. You know, I've done these kind of paintings a lot, so it's always a fun go-to for me. And I think should be pretty fun to watch because it's going to be a lot of what the hell am I painting until you see it shape up in front of your eyes, and hopefully you'll enjoy what I do here. So again, this is going to be like a mouth and an eye socket all in one. So so maybe that's like the eye there. Yeah, anyway, you'll see. It's going to be weird, but I think it'll be a fun one. So what are you guys working on today? If anyone's got anything in particular they're working on tonight, tell me about it in the comments. This is going to be a third mouth coming in right here, which is kind of going to be piggybacking off of this other mouth. There's going to be a bit of a crossover between 2 mouths here. And so we kind of got the point of one nose over here. We got an eye-ish in that general quadrant, the center of the mouth over here. And we got a lot of mouths, but only one nose. So let's remedy that. Let's put another nose in here, huh? Why not? And that nose is going to be this will be the eye socket to this nose over here, right? Sometimes when I do these, I lose track of like the intention of, of what I of what shapes I wanted to be what, and then it takes on its own life, and that's also kind of has a fun result. Um, let's see, and then let's let's decide on our light source and shadow. So this nose, let's say it's going to cast a big shadow along here. This is going to be the mouth for this nose. So this is just a shadow we're going to bring down here from that nose. And that'll take us right down into that mouth down here. Yeah, okay. I don't know if you guys can see it yet. Leave me a comment when you can see what the hell I'm doing here. Or if it's all just a mystery, let me know as well. Okay, so here's another eye socket. Okay. So that's the lower eyelid there. And we're going to bring in the eye right there. Okay. Okay. I'm seeing where it's going now. I think so. Let's see. How do we? There we go. And then that. It's going to come up like this. This is just going to be a massive close up here. Ba, 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 ba. All right. Let's see. Jennifer said she's starting a small painting of a blue heron. Oh, very cool. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's see. That's an eyebrow up there. This is not that far over. Let's say like that. This eye, let's make this eye closed. And let's bring in another eyebrow over here-ish, and let's round off this face a bit there. Okay, and then maybe we want to hint at some other curves around the face there. Okay. I see. I see where this is going. Oh, drop my paintbrush. Julie B needs to set an alarm. What did I miss? Well, Julie, we just started. This time we're trying a red toned canvas, and I just started sketching it out here. This is going to be kind of like one of my multi-face paintings, theoretically, unless I mess it up and change direction. Let's see. And thanks for joining, by the way. Okay, so Jennifer said she's working on a painting of a small blue heron. Is anyone else working on a new piece of art today? Or are you all slacking except for Jennifer? Just kidding. There's no pressure. Of course, I love it when everyone makes art when they watch, but certainly just watching too. I so appreciate you guys joining in and supporting just by being here and joining in the chat and talking to the other artists that come in. Okay, so this nose has to be cast in some kind of a shadow over here. And again, I'm using an olive green as my underpainting color right here. So far it's all just been olive green thinned out, but I've made a gradient on my palette to where I can, you know, when I'm ready, start pulling in different shades of this. And I've made that gradient with just with the olive green, black on one end of the gradient, white on the other end of the gradient. And yeah, so like this eye, so again, this is going to be a mouth, so there'll probably be some teeth up here, there'll probably be some teeth down here in a lower lip, and then this eyeball is going to be like lurking inside of this mouth. And of course this is the eye, another eye counterpoint to this part of the face. And then this eye is kind of going to match this one. Maybe I'll only do two faces. I was thinking maybe three faces. I might work another face in there as we go. I don't know. We're gonna play it loose with that and just see what comes up. Oh, Julie is working on an Eastern red bat, but not really feeling it. Ah, well, I would love to see that. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. Sometimes you gotta just power through the not feeling it. Sometimes the best stuff comes out that way. Okay, now I'm just going to take a little bit of white, thin down, and I'm just going to think about where the light might be hitting. Just thinking about the brightest parts right now. You know, one thing that sucks about having toned the canvas with this red is that it's a little too dark to be like a middle color, you know? I should have toned it with a more medium, you know, color of red, somewhere in between the tonal value of black and white. Just a lighter red would have done it better, but that's all right. I can still work with it. There's nothing that you do with a painting that you can't fix. Okay, let's see, let's put in some bright ass teeth. The teeth are going to be probably the brightest thing on here. Probably even more so than the eyes, because the eyes are going to be a little sunken in to their sockets. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to dip into my gradient here and start working in different shades of this green, kind of feeling things around. And I'm going, for anyone who is interested, I'm just starting right with oil on this. Although for this underpainting portion, I am not only painting very thin, but these three colors, the olive green, the white, and the black, I'm using an alkyd oil paint, which is a little faster drying than, well, a lot faster drying than just full-on oil. So I'm trying to paint kind of thin so that we can get past this underpainting stage and into a color stage during the live stream. But hopefully, well, we'll see. Once the underpainting's done, then we gotta reassess how dry it is, and then we'll know whether or not we can push on. And I'm just doing big blocks of color here, or big blocks of tone. Haha, it's already kind of looking like me. Tell you, every time I paint a random face, my own face pops out. I think that's true for a lot of artists, actually. Random fact, I can actually draw myself pretty accurately without looking at a photo at this point. Okay, so this mouth here, I want to be more closed, and then it's going to cut into this mouth, which is more open. So it's like this lip here is kind of going to hit this angle and morph into this lip. Yeah, that sounds good. Excuse me while I just talk to myself as I figure this out. Oh, let's see. Liz is drawing a skull tattoo flash using the tabletop sculpture of a skull with butterflies as a reference. Oh, very cool. Liz, I know I asked before, and but to remind me and to the people watching, are you tattooing? Are you an active tattoo artist right now, or just like creating the flash for it? Because I know a lot of your work is that tattoo flash style. So are you then offering these designs for your clients that you work on, or just doing it more for fun because you like the style? Enlighten us, please. Okay, I put a little, this is a little black mixed with the olive green here, and I'm just kind of gonna commit to that, this part of the mouth here, going a little darker. Okay. And this right here, if you're wondering why the hell is there a tooth there out of line, I'm just hinting at, you know, let's look at a skull right here. See how it's going to dip around, and these are going to be the molars here. So I just threw in that as a placeholder. It's rough and dirty, pretty ugly right now, but that aspect of it will get more refined as I go on. I do a lot of just throwing in placeholder shapes and blobs as I go, especially in this stage where I'm not fully sure what the painting's going to be. But if I have a general idea, I'll just throw in, yeah, there's a little blob, and that's going to be the molars. And then it helps me kind of think about the curvature of everything there. Anyway. So this is a nostril right here. Let's see, I already need to squeeze out some more olive onto my palette. Undead Knight asks, what does flash mean when tattooing? So if you go into a tattoo shop, a lot of times they will have like a big book of art that you flip through of things that the artists have already drawn. Because a lot of people, believe it or not, will go in for a tattoo without knowing what they want yet, but they'll go into an artist that they like and they'll just see what they have available. So that big book of all these different designs, that's what tattoo flash is, flash art. So let's see, Liz says, I'm learning tattooing on my own, going to tattoo school when I save up. I'm not active as a tat artist yet. Oh, okay, cool. Well, you gotta start somewhere for sure. And that's a good way to start too, just to get more familiar, keep up your drawing skills and stuff. Um, I highly recommend, if you can, try to get an apprenticeship. So you're working on a shop in a shop under someone who uh, knows what they're doing. That's always really helpful, just to get to learn from another tattoo artist whose work you admire. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a tattoo artist for a brief period of time in my life, but I got the old carpal tunnel there, so I can't. I found myself having difficulty doing those long sessions that are sometimes required of tattoos, and I just decided in the end it wasn't worth the messing up my hands even further, because I need them for other things like painting and playing instruments. Okay. But I do miss it sometimes. It was fun. And one of the coolest things about tattooing for me was, you're spending a large amount of time with people, and you get to have some really just incredible long form conversations that you wouldn't otherwise get to have. So it's like a great way to get to know someone really well, in like a condensed amount of time. So um, when I started out, I would mostly, almost exclusively, just tattoo friends, because I was learning, and typically they would get a free tattoo to let me learn with them as the canvas. And you just get to have these cool in-depth conversations with people, and you really get to know them during that process. And then that's the same once you start tattooing strangers too. You get to just have really cool conversations with people. Anyway, it was a cool gig for when I did it. There was a time too where I would, because I was on the road quite a bit with my band, I would, I actually had a pretty portable setup for tattooing, so I would bring it with me on the road and tattoo fans in different cities and stuff, and that was kind of cool. Yeah, my buddy Trevor Friedrich, who is the guy that he did all the black and white work on my arms there. He was drumming in the same band I was playing keyboards in for years, and he would do that. He brought his gear with him on the road, and that's how I got a lot of my tattoos, was just being on the road with him. And he was very instrumental in uh, showing me, the equipment and some techniques and stuff. I never got to his skill level at it, because he is a badass at it, but I do credit him with just being very generous with sharing information and so forth. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I just gotta lean back and look at the painting, especially with one like this, where it's kind of going to be an extreme close-up on the face. I want to make sure that I'm keeping the overall shape of the face in mind accurately, and really trying to nail those shadows in a believable way. So yeah, sometimes it helps to when I'm when I'm not live streaming, I'm often just standing up while I paint, and then taking a step back, and then looking at it from across the room, and then coming back in and stuff. But that would probably be pretty annoying to watch me paint like that in a live stream. So I just lean back in the old chair, and that does the trick, kind of. Let's see, back to the chat here. Liz has tried 2 apprenticeships, didn't go well. Oh, that's too bad. Sorry to hear that. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, it is rough on the hands and back for sure. Um, I was doing skill-wise. I was, started out rough as everyone does. The one thing, that I didn't anticipate when I started out, I didn't even think about it, is that everybody's skin is different. So when you're painting, you might, sometimes I paint on canvas, sometimes I paint on wood, and then sometimes, rarely, other materials, but for the most part it's canvas and wood, and you just get really used to how your brush reacts and glides over those kind of canvases. But tattooing wasn't like that at all, because every single person's skin reacts slightly different from the next person. So there are certain types of skin, and you just get to know that. So it took a while just to kind of build up that knowledge base of, when you sat down with someone to tattoo them, just like, oh, this person has, softer skin or stretchier skin, or whatever. And there was no way to there's no way to teach that information by word of mouth or reading about it. You just have to do the work and get used to it. So not only is everyone's skin different, but every part of the body, the skin is different. So in some areas it's thicker, some areas it's thinner, some areas it's taut, some areas it's stretchy. So there's just you really have to just do like a large quantity of tattoo work before you even start to get comfortable with it, which is why again I started just by tattooing friends for free because I needed the experience. Actually, before I did that, I started tattooing myself. I would pop my leg up and just tattoo my calves. So my first couple tattoos I did on myself, which you got to really not give a crap about how those are going to look. So you may or may not want to do that. Let's just say they're not great, but and they're pretty big tattoos too. On this leg, I did the poster skull from Evil Dead 2, and then on the other leg, I did the werewolf from American Werewolf in London. Very ambitious for first tattoos, and I was always more interested in doing like a photo realistic style of tattoo, so that's what I went for like immediately, which probably not super smart, but I did it anyway. But then I ended up doing all kinds of stuff over the course of my brief career. many different styles. Let's see. Oh, Bill has joined. Hey, Bill, how's it going, man? Looking creepy so far. He says, appreciate that. Julie says, don't think anyone would mind if I step back and look at the painting. Oh, thank you. I will probably have to do that on this one at some point, though, just because it's such a massive composition in terms of the how much real estate the face is taken up in this on this canvas. Let's see. Liz says yes, in different pigments. Tattooed a few people, small types. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, some skin pigment certainly has a effect on that as well. Okay, for those just joining, that you're watching Art Autopsy. This is a bi-weekly live streaming art event hosted by me, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist working in the film and television industry, and every 2 weeks I jump on live on YouTube, and I live stream a painting. And I ask that anybody who would like, I encourage you to make art at home right alongside me. Just gives you a good excuse to make some art. If you need an excuse to do it, this is it. I give you permission. Go make some art. And then if you do make some art and you want to share it with our viewers, just email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com. And every stream at the top of the episode, I showcase some viewer submitted art. If you are a brave soul and want to show people what you do, it's a good way to get it out there. Yeah, I can tell this totally looks like me. I can already see it. Yeah. Okay, I mean, man, we really laid in these big chunks of big swaths of color pretty fast on this one. Oh, random announcement here. I can finally announce this one because Netflix just announced it. On October 3rd, they are premiering the new season of Monsters, and this season focuses on Ed Gein, and I got to make some fun props for this season, thanks to my buddy, prop guy extraordinaire Skip Crank. He once again pulled me into a production of his, and got to make some really fun stuff for this season. So anyone who's following me over on Patreon, you'll get to see that stuff first. Of course, I won't be able to show anything until the episodes with them air, of course, because, when you're working in the movie biz, you got to sign non-disclosure agreements and shit like that. So, but excited that the show's finally coming out, because I think I did the work last December. So that's always the thing about the film industry. Do a bunch of work, and then if you're lucky, it comes out within a year, but sometimes it goes even longer than that. All depends on the production. Okay. See, and the cool thing, so because I toned the canvas in the red, and then I did my underpainting in this green. Green is the complementary color to red, so I did that intentionally. And now you see when this red does pop through the canvas, it actually still works because those two colors are complementing each other. So yeah, fun little way to do it. Do your underpainting the opposite color of how you tone the canvas. So, and if you don't know how to find the opposite, all you got to do is just get yourself one of these cheap little couple dollar color wheels. And you can see right here we got red, and right opposite red on the color wheel is green. So those colors are going to work together. Obviously, there's a lot more to figure out with a color wheel than that, but that's the basics, But always good to have one of those in your painting arsenal. Okay, I'm just fixing a few things tone-wise. Just thinking about the shadow and stuff. I kind of want to get rid of some of this red over on this forehead-ish area. And then I'm going to switch to a smaller brush and start working in some little more details. Like, so again, if you're just joining, this right here is like a mouth slash eyeball. So there's going to be an open mouth here, and inside of that mouth is going to be the eye. So yeah, so I guess in that regard, this is made up of three faces. So we've got this face, which nose, eye, mouth. This face here, which, two eyes, the nose and the mouth. And then a third face, which thus far just has a mouth here. And I may or may not add another element from that face somewhere. We are going to have to find out as we go. Under the Night says right side looks like you, left side has a Bela Lugosi eyes. Nice. I was just watching this VHS. In fact, it was Horrible Horror, hosted by Zachary, who was an amazing horror host back in the day. And this is just like clips from like 50 different horror and sci-fi movies or whatever. I just had it popped on in the background, but there was a ton of Bela Lugosi stuff in there. So I was looking at his face quite a bit. So maybe that's leaking through into the painting. Julie says, I can see the resemblance. I think it's in the three eyes. Yeah. On Dead of Night, watch the trailer for Ed Gein. Lots of prop potential. Excited to see your work. Ah, thanks. Yeah, I just watched the trailer today myself. Nothing I made is in the trailer, but I thought after watching the trailer that it looks like it'll be a pretty good show. So, you never know when you work on a show. But I did enjoy the first two seasons of the show. I thought they did a good job with it. The first season was Jeffrey Dahmer, and the second season was the Menendez brothers. So it's kind of cool how they're switching it up each time. And this is it's a Ryan Murphy show. He's the guy that does American Horror Story and Feud and a bunch of stuff like that. So this will be let's see. I worked on American Horror Story, I worked on Feud, I worked on this, and I think I worked on one more Ryan Murphy show. This is at least the third one, maybe the fourth one. Never met the guy, just randomly happened to keep getting hired on these shows. Okay. Yeah, this is certainly my nose here. So let's lean into that. It's going to be another self-portrait. I do a lot of those. Okay, good. So I'm just touching the canvas here to see how far it is dry, how far it's coming along dry wise. So because I'm painting so thin and because I did this base coat with, or the underpainting here with alkyds, it is drying pretty fast. So I feel good about the possibility at least of this being dry enough to throw some color in by the time we're finished with the underpainting. That being said, I don't see this particular painting as, oops, that's a little too dark. I don't see this particular painting as having a ton of colors in it. So, I'm going to spend more time than usual on just this underpainting. Because then the colors will be pretty minimal. I mean, because it's such an extreme, oops, sorry, kicked the table with the laptop on it. Because it's such an extreme close-up, it's mostly just going to be like a flesh tone, Obviously, it'll be more complex than a single color flesh tone. Um, but yeah, I think that's the direction I'm going to go in. It's already shaping up nicely. I'm starting to see, how it's going to be in its final form. So I think, I think it would be a smart idea for me to just really spend some time and get this underpainting dialed in first before even thinking about going to color. This will be my second self-portrait of the year. Although you could make the argument that the first one is unrecognizable since it turned into more of a mashup of a human and a hippopotamus and a wolf and a snake. And so any resemblance to me fell off pretty quickly. And who knows with this one? You know what I mean? Maybe it's going to take a different form than I'm currently thinking. I always like to stay open to the possibility that I might not be the best judge of where my painting is going to go at first, and I just keep painting, and new ideas will pop out, and I just try to stay open to whatever new ideas might come my way, and the painting may end up taking a completely different turn than I imagined. And that's part of what keeps the process fun for me, right? It's just keeping loose with that, not being too rigid about what it should be. Because after all, if you're not having fun while you do it, then why are you doing it anyway? And on tonight's to watch list after the live stream is over, it's a choice, it's a toss up. Here's my VHS stack here. I just watched Horribly Horror and Ghost Story. And next is, I think I'm either going to do Critters, Nothing But Trouble, or Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Um, Depending on what mood I am in, and I will, which means I'll be switching over to work on another painting, likely when the stream's over. And I want to real quick, just because I know people pop in and out, I just want to show you what my palette is like right now. I'm just again, I just started with the three colors. It's olive green, titanium white, and what is that? Lamp black. Let's see, what kind of black am I using? I didn't even pay attention. I just squeezed it out here. Ivory black. Okay, so those are just the three colors. That's all I'm doing so far, with just a little bit of, with obviously the canvas is toned in a red, and I already put that, because I toned the canvas a while ago, I put that color away long ago, so I can't tell you exactly what shade of red that is, but based on the look, it's probably a rose red, if I had to guess. And again, if I had to go back in time and retone the canvas, I would have selected a little bit of a lighter red. That's kind of a bad call on my end, but we're making it work. So I was thinking, at least so far, this eye over here is closed, but do I want to open that eye? We're going to stick with closed for now, because that's my first impulse. But we might open it up. I mean, we already have two open eyes, so do we need three? Maybe his third eye is not open yet. He hasn't gotten to that stage in life yet. And again, for those just joining who missed the beginning, I started this one off. Again, the canvas was toned, but I also threw in like a super rough, uh, some lines here just to divide it in thirds, vertically and horizontally, just to aid myself in the composition. A lot of times on these kind of shooting from the hip type paintings, I personally have a tendency to kind of go a little wild with the composition, and sometimes end up with uh, uneven placements that I then have to go back and try to correct just to get it to be a little more visually appealing, so I thought I would save myself from that and just throw a quick basic grid on there. And then how that actually applies to this, I kind of thought, okay, this eye right here is at an intersection. The tip of this nose is at an intersection. The tip of that nose is at an intersection. And the mouth is at an intersection. So when it's done, that's all going to be invisible to the viewer. But hopefully, because this kind of painting where I'm mashing faces together tends to get a little confusing to the eye for people to look at. So, and which is kind of the desired effect. But I do like to throw them a bone a little bit on the composition side and try to at least give, you know, give some kind of, make it grounded a little bit in some rules of composition. That way it can be visually confusing, but also somewhat still visually appealing. That is the hope. Am I successful with it? That will be for the viewer to decide when I'm done. And let's see, eyebrow up here. Yeah, pardon me, I'm going to just step back and look at this from a few feet back just to see how it's feeling. All right, it's looking sufficiently gnarly. Looks like he's had a recent bee sting attack. I don't mind that though. I mean, I would mind a bee sting attack, but I don't mind this guy looking like he's been stung by a bee. He's a little swollen, but when you have three faces, life can be rough. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Undead of Night says Nothing But Trouble is an interesting and bizarre movie. Great cast. Yeah, man, I love that movie. I don't know, it's something about it. It was, I think, a box office flop and got a lot of hate when it came out. But I'd like to think that maybe over time it had a little resurgence. That maybe it was just ahead of its time in terms of just weirdness. But I really enjoy it, and also a fun. I was born in the 70s, which means, a lot of my childhood was in the 80s and 80s and 90s. So I appreciate that it's got a cameo from Digital Underground in there, and of which Tupac is in there too, as kind of a minor member of Digital Underground. But it's cool just to see him pop up. That might be the first movie he was actually in. Let's see, what else is happening here? Undead of Night really liked your Salem's Lot VHS art. Thank you so much. That was a fun one to make. Just to explain that for everyone else, I had a piece of art in a show at Slashback Video, which is a cool gallery / shop on Melrose in Hollywood, and they have like a little video store set up inside there. It's part of like a art display recreating a 1980s video store, but the entire store is the horror section, which of course I love, of course, because most of my VHS collection is the horror section. And they periodically would do these art shows where they ask the artists to create a new cover for an old horror film, and I chose Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot, which so instead of just doing a standard painting, I wanted to try something a little different. So what I did first, I did a mock-up in Photoshop of the painting, and then I took that into Blender, which is a 3D program that I used, and I used that to create this kind of bas relief style 3D object, which I then 3D printed, and then I did the painting on top of the 3D print. So yeah, it was just never worked that way before. Never seen anyone else work that way before, but I thought it would be fun. So it was a fun idea. So I tried to execute on it, and pretty happy with how it turned out. Um, and I believe the painting sold, which is means that someone else was happy with how it turned out. So always happy to sell a original piece of art. Okay, let's see what else. Julie B says maybe the eye could have been sewn shut, but is breaking open the stitches. Oh, that's a cool idea. I like that. Nice, nice. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's a good idea. I will think on that one. Let me get a little finer brush. So I've been up till now and probably continuing through this entire painting. I'm using these angled chisel brushes. I don't know what they're called really, but and I just as you get into more detail, I just switched to a smaller size brush. So now I'm switching to that one right there, and there's not a lot of detail that I can't do with this style of brush. On paintings where there is like really fine detail, I will switch into like a more detail, pointed type brush. But generally speaking, most every painting I do, the bulk of it happens with this kind of style of brush. Just got used to it and works for me. Trying to balance, obviously this eye is going to be somewhat in the shadow of this mouth, so I'm trying to strike a balance with the tone here, still selling that the whites of the eye and stuff, but I can't really go all white with it because it's in the shadow. So I'm just trying to figure that out as I go. Oh, I'll tell you about some other events that I had recently, and then I'll tell you about some events I have coming up. So I was vending at the Hyena Horror Market, um, which is now they end up, looks like they're going to do it a few times a year, or at least they've done it twice this year already. It's a gallery in Burbank called Hyena Gallery, and they host this event at a kind of a VFW style hall type venue. It's called the Mayflower Club in North Hollywood, and it's like a kind of a small one room convention, but it's really cool. And they always, so far this is my third time doing it with them, and they've just had like a really great selection of artists and vendors, and every time I've done it, I always just have a fantastic time getting to talk to everybody. So, and I know, well, Jennifer, who was watching, came out to it. So thank you, Jennifer, for showing up and supporting. Always great to see you. And then, yeah, just had some other fans show up, which was always nice. Few people I hadn't seen in years that I knew just from supporting my music over the years and my art over the years. So really cool to reconnect with people. And my booth was in between Wednesday 13, who's like a goth rock musician, super nice. Got to meet him and his girlfriend or wife, I'm not sure which, but they were both super nice. And then on the other side of me was a vendor that goes by Mood Poison, and this is a couple that make these cool, what do you call it? It's almost like die cut art. It's like die cut into shapes and then painted on, and they do really cool stuff. So um, I had in I had bought my wife one of their pieces a while ago. And what it is, it's a big clock of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs doing the famous scene where he does the tuck. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. And his legs are the pendulum of the clock. It's pretty fun. So anyway, I had a good time vending there and being in between uh, those two booths. Um, and then that same night was the Slashback video opening that I just talked about. That one, unfortunately, I skipped only because I live far away from both venues. So after the convention, I had to drive home, unload my car, and by the time that was done, I was just burned out for the day, and I couldn't bring myself to make another trip to Hollywood. But I got to go back and check out the full show at Slashback soon. So let's see. Liz says, "Have you tried out Indy's brushes?" She's making two for me. I haven't tried them yet, and the reason is they're so awesome. To fill everyone else in, Indy is a viewer that made me these awesome custom sculpted brushes with custom sculpted handles and stuff, and they're beautiful, and they're like works of art in and of themselves. And I know I'm gonna fuck them up if I paint with them because I'm rough on my brushes, let's say, and I need to just use them and try to be careful with them. But yeah, I just hadn't got around to it because I didn't want to mess them up. They're so cool. Let's see. Bill says, "Bummed I missed the art market." Yeah, it'd be cool to see you there, Bill. I think he's going to keep doing them though, because they seem to be pretty successful. People come out. He always has cool guests, and yeah, and it's a really kind of intimate setting. It's always a free event, which is super cool. So no one has to pay a cover to get in. Um, and yeah, it's still kind of in its infancy as an event, so not a lot of people know about it yet. So the crowd sizes are pretty manageable. It never gets super crowded in there, and so you really get the opportunity to meet anyone that you want to and actually have a conversation with them, which is cool. So highly recommend that convention if anyone uh, can ever go to a future one. And then coming up in the beginning of October, I'm going to have a piece that's going to be on display at the Last Bookstore in downtown LA. They're doing a tribute show to David Lynch, which of course any self-respecting weirdo artist such as myself is more than likely a huge fan of David Lynch. I certainly am, and I was thrilled to get to be a part of a show that pays tribute to him because he was very influential on me in many ways, countless ways. So I got that coming up. I just got a piece into the gallery at Descanso Gardens. So this is Descanso Gardens, kind of like this botanical garden type thing in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. I go there all the time with my wife. It's just a really beautiful place. And in the middle of it all, they have a art gallery. And I always wanted to show there just because I love Descanso Gardens so much, but I never thought I would have the opportunity because my art is so not what they show normally. But I had the opportunity to submit a piece, and I did a piece specifically for it, which is just a squirrel. But I used a lot of vivid colors, try to, even though it was not typical of one of my paintings, I tried to still go crazy with the color palette and make it vibrant and so forth. And it got into the show, so very excited about that one. I believe it goes up in mid-October, and it's going to be on display through till January of next year. But if anyone wants to go to the opening reception, and you are all invited, that's going to be on November 1st. And I'll certainly be posting more information about that on my website. And if anyone's following me on Patreon, you will get all of that info first, of course. And let's see, I think you can start to see now that it's going to be, that it's a mouth with the eye living inside. I don't know how many baby teeth I want to throw in the bottom there. I just went kind of buck wild with that. But anyway, yeah, got into that show, so super happy on that. And also happy that it's going to be on display for so long. Sometimes you'll get art in a group show and it's not up. You know, standard is like a month, but sometimes shows at galleries only last a week or two. And it's kind of unusual for a show to run for just months on end like this. So I'm always happy when I get to be in a show where the art gets to display for a little longer than normal. Or in some cases, sometimes a gallery will just want to hang on to a piece and keep it in the gallery for a while after the show's over, just to you know, give more people a chance to see it and buy it, etc. So happy to be a part of that show. Julie says, my ears perked up when you said it's not too crowded. Yeah, it really, it's cool. There's a lot of like horror conventions, especially the LA ones, where you just can't, they're fun to go to, but it's just, you know, it's packed. You're shoulder to shoulder with people, and this is not like this. It's big aisles. You're never bumping into people. Super fun. And Julie, it's not far from you, so you should definitely try it out sometime. Let's see, Undead of Night. I've seen the Mystic Museum on the Grim Life YouTube channel. Seems like a fun place. Yeah, it is very cool. Random story about that. I actually just ran into the couple from the Grim Life YouTube channel, the Grim Life Collective, at Walmart the other day. Randomly. Don't know them, but I introduced myself. I like their YouTube channel, so. It is a small world, or at least in LA, I guess a lot of creative folk make their way out here. Let me take a step back again, reassess this. All right, all right. Coming along, I'm going to switch back to the bigger brush and just kind of try to make some bigger moves with this just big patch of skin here. So there's not a lot of detail happening here yet, so I'm just going to block in some color. And this is going to be an eyebrow here, so I probably want to pay a little more attention to it than just that shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over it a little bit with this lighter color while leaving that more as like a shadow guide layer. So when I go in and start adding individual hairs to the eyebrow, I'll know where to put it for one, and it'll have a little bit of a shadow underneath it from that lighter color. So that's my thinking, at least for now. Who knows how it will turn out, though. I'm excited that now that it's September, most of the stores have their Halloween stuff out already. So excited about that. I got a 6'5" animatronic skeleton from Home Depot that allows you to program it. You can program in your own voice if you want, and program it lights up and all that stuff. So I haven't got into programming it yet, but I bought it because because it was programmable. So I'm going to start doing that soon. Obviously, I got a lot of work to do on my. I haven't done really anything for the Halloween display yet this year because it just turned September. But I got to start thinking about what else I want to do animatronic wise and stuff. Debating whether or not I should build something new. I am kind of. The house is pretty full with animatronics. Let's be honest. In my office, the living room, the garage. There's animatronics everywhere, and I don't want to, don't want to piss off the missus too much by flooding the place with more animatronics. But at the same time, I like building them. I like having them around. So I may end up building some more. But if I do, I got to find a place to store them that won't result in my wife murdering me. So, I also got to figure out what I'm going to be for Halloween this year because I love, I dress up and go out in the yard in the middle of all the animatronics and stuff and, scare kids, whatnot. So, got to figure out a fun costume for this year, something I haven't done before. Like changing it up each year, doing a different costume. So, I don't know what it's going to be this year. To be determined. Liz says she's going to put her outside Halloween decorations up Saturday. Excellent. Excellent. Start early. Yeah, because I kind of go crazy with the yard decorations. So I do get started early-ish just because there's always a lot to put up. But it's a lot of stuff. So I usually wait till at least mid-September just so as not to, just to not be too intrusive on the neighbors. Just because it's Halloween year-round for me doesn't mean all my neighbors want it to be Halloween year-round. So try to be a good neighbor. Though they're all pretty cool about it. They don't really mind. The kids in the neighborhood like the decorations, which is cool. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm feeling okay about it. A little iffy about this area, but for now, it's fine. We're gonna obviously be coming back to this painting a lot over the next couple weeks, but plenty of time to fix anything that I'm not feeling good about. But yeah, so far, I think in general, I think the painting's turning out all right. What do you guys think? I'm actually curious from your perspective, especially for those of you that routinely tune in, but I'd like to hear from anybody that's watching this or has watched one before. What kinds of paintings are the most fun for you to watch? Is it stuff like this where I'm just doing one big central thing, or is it the ones where I'm doing more of a scene where you can see multiple characters? Yeah, I try to change it up each time so that you guys are getting a little something different out of each episode, and it's not always the same thing. But I also, want to be aware of my audience and paint stuff that you guys are going to have a good time watching. Because after all, it is for you guys. I don't know what I did with this nose, but I'm gonna fix something. it's, it's going crazy. It's going crazy. Oh, thanks, Liz. Liz says looks amazing. I like the scenes better. Good to know. Yeah, those are. Yeah, it can be fun to kind of put a little story into the piece. Certainly, I get better results with those kind when I premeditate it a bit. It's a little harder to shoot from the hip on those and have them be cohesive, but they are fun to do. Jennifer says, I like your crazy scenes and trying to guess what the narrative might be. All right, right on. That's 2 votes. 2 votes for the scenes. Yeah, I like trying to guess what those narratives are going to be too. Rarely do I know right away. Just figure it out as I go. Okay, let's see. And let's see, just to give the spiel for those of you who have tuned in recently to the stream you are watching, Art Autopsy. It's a bi-weekly live streaming art event with me, your host, Clint Carney, where I create a new painting every 2 weeks. So I do it every other Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I encourage you, if you are artistically inclined or just artistically curious and maybe you want to make some art, just get out your art supplies and make some art right along with me. It doesn't have to be what I create or even close to it at all. Just make your own thing, and if you make something that you'd like to share, email it to me at clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will share it on an upcoming live stream. So there we go. Spiel over. Also, if you would like to support the podcast, aka not the podcast, the live stream, I don't know what I'm talking about, you can find me over on Patreon. If you go to clintcarney.com, that gives you links to my Patreon, this YouTube channel, and of course, if you're interested in ever getting a print or an original painting, clintcarney.com is the place to do it. And now I am done with my sales pitch. Thank you for putting up with that. When you're trying to sling art for a living, you gotta be a bit of a salesman, as much as I think it goes against the nature of most artists. It's just one of those things you got to do. Otherwise, you can't sell your art if no one knows it's available. You know what I mean? Bill says, I dig the wild scenes. They always have such great colors. Also, the creepy, fleshy stuff is rad. Oh, right on. Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't like I mean I just love painting, and I do kind of a wide variety of stuff. And when I'm working on gallery pieces, typically, or in the past, if I'm putting together like a solo show or things like that, I usually have a very specific theme I'm going for, and I tend to do a lot, paint a lot more figures and things like that. Um, but Art Autopsy is always like a great excuse for me to just kind of go crazy with it and paint something wild that might not be what I would normally think to do. So yeah, I always have fun just figuring out what to do next. And then like collector wise, different collectors around the world that like are kind of, they all have their specific taste as like with the stuff that they want from my work. So you can never premeditate an art sale. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you paint something and you think this is so great, like someone's going to buy this for sure. It'll never sell. And then sometimes I'll paint something and it'll be like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever painted. I kind of hate it. Someone out there might love it and they might buy it. You just don't know. I mean, typically speaking, I don't put my work out into the world that I hate, but I might feel not as great about some paintings that I let slip into the world, and sometimes those are the ones that sell. You really don't know. It's really hard to predict. You certainly can't make a career out of saying I'm just going to paint what people want to buy, right? Because that is unknowable. If you could do that, then I think every artist out there would sell a lot more paintings. But yeah, you just have to paint what you love and hope for the best. Hope that the right people find your work. And then, of course, it also helps to get it into galleries when you can, and get it in front of more people. And a live stream also is a good way for new people to find my work. Oh, let me ask you guys a quick and easy and free favor. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the thumbs up on this video, and if you want to get really crazy with it, leave a comment, because while the live stream is going, the more activity that comes in, like with the thumbs up and the comments and stuff, that tells the YouTube algorithm, which you're constantly battling against as a YouTube creator, it tells the YouTube algorithm that people are interested in what you're doing, and then they show the live stream to more people. It comes up in their feed, more people watch, blah, 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 blah. So if you're so inclined, like and comment. I would love that. And if you can't, if you don't, I still love you. It's no problem. Okay, see, actually now, this face is starting to look more like me too. They're both turning into me when I make stupid faces, like that. I've been known to make stupid faces. Okay, let's see what else is happening in the comments here. The Undead of Night says, I learned something from all of them. Always impressed by the finished result. 2 weeks later, any plans for doing a famous monster or horror character for the October Halloween stream? Well, thank you so much for the kind words. And yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's not a bad idea. Maybe I will. We'll see. I'll certainly do something spooky for the October streams. Maybe may or may not do if I can come up with an interesting take on a character, then maybe I would consider doing like a famous character. It gets a little tricky because a lot of characters have been painted a lot before in the past, and I'm really, and I've certainly done that before too, but I always want to have like an original take on it if I'm going to take on that kind of work. So maybe, but yeah, certainly something appropriate for the spooky season will be coming for the October live streams. Julie says, I like them all. I like the surreal storytelling of the scenes, but I also really enjoy the stream of consciousness art. It looks so freeing and fun, if that makes sense. Oh, thank you. It is fun and freeing. Undead of Night says, when you were next to Wednesday 13, did you discuss album artwork? I could see you two working together. No, we didn't, but should have brought that up, right? I'm bad about thinking about stuff like that. No, we just had talks. I guess both him and his girl, much like me and my wife, we both feed critters in our yards, squirrels and raccoons and possums and skunks, so we had that in common. And then we talked a bit about his new album, I think, and um, touring, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, super nice gent. I enjoyed our conversation. And he's also a big horror fan. I had seen someone had done like a tour of his house and his horror collection, which I had seen on YouTube. So we talked a bit about that. And I gave him a copy of Dry Blood, which is a horror movie that I wrote and produced and acted in, which I just came to the crazy realization that that movie was filmed 10 years ago. It didn't get released until several years after that, but I made that movie 10 years ago, which is crazy, which means I need to get off my ass and make another movie because making a movie once every 10 years is not ambitious enough for my liking. Although I have worked on many movies since then. It was just been working on other people's movies. But you know, I like to work on my own stuff too, so I should do more of that. More of that. Let's see. Jennifer says you just carry around copies of Dry Blood when you're out running errands. No, it was at the horror market, so I had them there because I was vending. Um, Although maybe it's not a bad idea to just carry them around. You never know who you're going to run into, I guess, right? Liz says, I've got a ticket to a concert in January. Wednesday 13 is opening for Lord of the Lost and Birthday Massacre. Oh, cool. That'll be a fun show. Very cool. Okay, well, I'm going to double down on the likeness and give this guy my teeth. You know, I got these teeth that stick out there a bit, and this one in particular has a certain angle to it. Not only does it stick out, but I broke off part of it on a microphone at a show. Actually, I've broken off several parts of my teeth on microphones at shows over the years, which give them their look. So I'm going to lean into that and make it a real honest to God self-portrait here ish, as much as I can. Yeah, do not recommend smashing a microphone into your mouth, but sometimes it just happens accidentally. As I can attest to. Let's see, that one kind of overlaps like that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Sure. All right. It may not be super accurate, but you'll get the point. It'll be. They won't be perfect teeth. Let's just say. Bum bum bum. Okay, okay. And then this is where they start to go back. And that's a molar, and that's a molar, and that's a molar. All right, cool. Random fact about my teeth because you guys are so curious. I don't have any wisdom teeth. Like they never came in. Like not that they haven't come in, but like I just don't have them. I'll never get them. So I lucked out on in that regard. I never had to go through the pain of having wisdom teeth removed, which probably means I'm not very wise, but that's okay. I'll take the lack of wisdom for the lack of having to get mouth surgery. So close enough. Maybe this one's a little too crazy, but that's all right. No one's going to look at this painting and say, "Hey, those aren't exactly your teeth." Well, they might. Who knows? All right, let's see what's happening in the chat. Jennifer says, I don't know Wednesday 13th, so I cannot say for sure, but Lord of the Lost is really great. Liz says, more like Rammstein, a few songs in German, a few in English. And Liz says they are. To be perfectly honest, that band has been around LA for as long as I have, or just about at least, and I have been aware of their existence, and I know we have a lot of mutual friends and stuff. I don't know what they sound like. Full disclosure, I don't know that I have listened necessarily. I've probably heard some songs here and there, but now that I've met him and he was such a nice dude, I feel like I should go give him a listen. I think they're more on the rock side of things than my taste usually goes, but I'm always open to trying out new music. You never know what I might like. Okay, anyone who has joined recently who didn't weigh in at the beginning of the chat, is there anyone out there who's making art that, and if so, what are you working on? Tell me about what your piece you're creating, what mediums you're working in, all of that stuff. If you feel like sharing in the chat, chime in. Jennifer Goupil was also born without wisdom teeth. Ah, crazy. There's not a lot of us out there. I think it's like more and more people, though, as time goes on, are that's a trait that can be inherited, I guess. Although both of my parents had both wisdom teeth, so I don't know. Or, not both, but however many there are. I don't even know how many wisdom teeth there normally are. I don't know about humans. Okay. Yeah, actually, that's not a bad representation of my teeth after all. Now that I look at it, I got to work on the shading a bit, but yeah, I buy that. I buy that. That's my mouth. Sure. If you have never done a self-portrait or tried not even just a drawing, it doesn't have to be a full-on painting or whatever, it's a great exercise. For one, working from a model always helps and will certainly grow your skills as an artist. And self-portraits, you're always available to yourself, right? So that's one model you always have access to. And plus, you can make whatever weird faces you want. You pose in any way you want. And it's just a good way to practice and get familiar with human anatomy and stuff like that. So yeah, I have done that a lot over the years, just drawing myself. And I've done it again tonight. Twice, in fact, or third time, I guess, if you count that mouth. But maybe that one's not me. That'll be someone else's mouth, we'll say. Bill is sculpting a furry monster. Oh, cool, man. Is this just a for fun art project, or are you doing it for a specific thing? I also know it's kind of annoying if someone's working on art and I'm asking them to type in questions. So if you can't answer back, I get it. Julie B says there are 6 wisdom teeth. So what you're saying is I am deficient by 6 whole teeth. I see. I see. Good to know, though. Good to know. Hmm. Okay, this is actually not great there. Let's see. This is gonna cut in a bit. Okay, I mean the good thing is when you're doing a portrait like this, like these kind of weird, surrealistic morphing faces thing, you got a lot of leeway with the anatomy, right? Because everything is stretched and contorted in a way that is unnatural. So, you know, the audience will forgive you a, a lot if it's not exactly anatomically accurate because, this mesh of faces doesn't exist in reality like this. So you can, as long as you get it in the ballpark and you're very, one thing I recommend, like if you're going for realism, I mean, obviously this is more surrealism because of the subject matter, but I want it to feel based in reality. And if you're going for any kind of realism, you really, um, the thing that's going to make it more than anything else is just paying attention to the light and the shadows and how the shadows play over the, the curves in your surface. Um, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with bringing up a reference or looking in a mirror or whatever you need to get you there. Um, you know, just don't you don't have to do it all in your head. I mean, if you do it enough times, you'll be able to do it all in your head. But there's nothing that says that you have to do it that way, right? So if you're learning and yeah, look at what other artists do. Look at photographs. Take your own photographs even as references. Anything. Man, this happens all the time. These little cheap brushes. Eventually they just fall off. I gotta glue this one back together. So he's gonna be retired from this painting till I glue that back together because I'm tired of it falling off. Let's find another similar brush. So let's see. Okay, here we go. In fact, same exact brush, just in a little better shape, I think. Let's see. Oh no, man. Oh, I didn't properly clean the bristles on this one before, and it's a little too rigid. I'm gonna soak that one in my Turpenoid and hope that it comes back to life. But fortunately, I have just a massive selection of brushes in front of me, so we're gonna go for a little bit of a nicer brush on this, but still same kind of angle. And I'm just trying to soften up some of these transitions on the skin, really get it nice and smooth. As we talked before, for anyone who's joining more recently. This stage of the painting is just the underpainting. So this is all just establishing the values, the lights and the light and the shadows and so forth. And as I once this is done, once the underpainting is done and I've established those, then I go in with some additional color work. So whether or not, but in this particular painting, because the color palette is going to be fairly limited, I'm spending extra time on the underpainting side of things just to really try to dial it in. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to smooth out some of these transitions and get that looking nice and smooth. So when I come in and start adding the other colors into the skin tone, yeah, most of the work on the blending is done, and I can layer those colors in very thin. And yeah, so anyway, that's that. This brush, although a nice brush, I am finding it to be a little too soft. Um, this is like some kind of a real hair brush or whatever, which are great for certain things, but it's a little too soft for what I want right now. So I'm going to switch to a more rigid brush for the time being. I'll likely come back to that one later. All right, here we go. This one should do the trick. And because I did the underpainting in this red, um, which is the complement to green, um, any of that red, not the underpainting, I'm sorry, because I toned the canvas in the red, any of that that ends up popping through still is actually still going to work well in this painting, because it's complementing the tones of our underpainting. Let's see. So this is kind of a tricky little curve I set up for myself here. This is another mouth which is connected at the lips to this mouth. I might, I'm just debating whether or not to pop in any teeth on this side or not. I'm going to think about that. I may, or I may not. I'm going to just finish up the skin on the chin here, and then come back to this mouth and reassess whether or not it needs more teeth. Fix that lip, obviously. Let's finish up this, finish up the old chin here, and then come back to that. You might wonder who the hell would hang up such a painting in their home of me making these dumb faces. And to that I would say, you would be surprised. There's more than a few of these kind of style self-portraiture-esque paintings out there of me that have, for whatever reason, people like. So maybe this one will go to a new home one day, or maybe it will just go in the stack. You never know what the fate of a painting will be. I did a painting of with my wife as the model, and she's holding her own severed head. Um, and she always finds it funny anytime anyone buys that for the print of that. Or the original sold long many years ago, but it's always amusing to her, to just to know that people are hanging a painting of her holding her own severed head in their homes. Actually, one of the first self-portrait paintings that I did was similar to that. It was a cephalophore type painting, which is a old. It was a style Catholic art where these saints would come back from the dead after being martyred and beheaded, and those paintings are called cephalophores. So that's what the title of my wife's painting was. Anyway, yeah, you never know. No matter how weird your painting, someone out there might want to hang it up. I certainly have my share of other people's weird art in my own collection, so let's see. I'm missing some stuff in the chat. Let's see. Undead of Night says, looking at your Beetlejuice shirt, I don't remember having that X on his forehead, or maybe it's not an X. There's a line of t-shirts called Villain X. It's made by the dudes in the band God Module, and they take different horror movie characters and they all have an X on their head. I don't know why. It's just part of the branding. Certainly he doesn't have an X on his head in the movie, but that's what it is. So just representing my friend's shirt line. Let's see. Bill says, for an event in October, it's coming out okay. Okay, cool. Talking about your sculpture. Excellent. Charlie has joined us. Hey Charlie, how's it going? Sorry I'm late-ish. It's my cat's birthday. Hey, that is a valid excuse. I will accept my cat's birthday as an excuse for anything. So well done. Happy birthday to your cat. Let's see. Liz says it's harder drawing with a 3D reference like a sculpture, but it came out better. Cool. Were you working on a reference from a sculpture right now? Yeah, it certainly, if you're drawing from a 2D reference, you already have all the planes flattened for you, right? And it's not going to shift as you move your head. There'll be no parallax that you get from looking at a 3D object. You close one eye and the other eye. If it's a flat image, it looks the same. But when you're drawing from 3D or drawing from life, where your model might move a bit, yeah, it does get more complex. But also, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you start to anticipate how things might shift and what your perspective is telling you about the thing versus what it actually is, and so forth. So yeah, it's good practice to work from life and from 3D. Liz says, happy birthday to the kitty. Jennifer says, you would have to say me. I have one right across the room from me right now. Oh yes, Jennifer has a amazing collection, a large collection of my work, which I love. Thank you, Jennifer. Charlie says, oh yeah, I remember that painting. Oh yes, of my wife. Liz says, yeah, a skull sculpture. Oh cool, that's right. I'm sorry. That's my brain's jumbled. You said that earlier. Yeah, you were working from that skull sculpture. Yeah, certainly. But I have faith in you, Liz. You can do it. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Okay. I'm going to step back real quick, take a look at it from a few feet back, reassess, and yeah, I don't think, now that I'm looking at it from a few steps back, I don't think that we need teeth on that side. I'm happy with just that mouth there, and then on this side it's gonna be revealing more of like the gum structure and then something. I'll keep that one kind of gummy. I think. I think. You know, nothing's set in stone until I call the painting done, but that's where I'm leaning with it. I do want kind of a darker shadow there in the corner. And I got to figure out my blobs of how those teeth are actually going to be, and I want it to have an actual lip. So let's figure out that lip, and then I need to squeeze out some more olive green onto the old palette. Let's see, what are we looking at time-wise? 9 o'clock. We're coming up on 2 hours, or we're at 2 hours in. So actually, we made a lot of progress for 2 hours. It's easier when you're doing like a single subject thing like this to make progress more quickly. When you're doing a complex scene, um, sometimes those can go a little slower. So that is one argument in favor of these larger single subject pieces, is that they shape up faster in the live streams. But yeah, anyway, I'll just try to change it up from time to time, so you guys don't get you'll never get the same painting twice. And why would I want to paint the same painting twice? I would not. Okay. Okay. All right. You know, partially, even though these lips connect, partially I kind of want to keep this one going and like run underneath that lip. Let's see what that looks like. So there is a connection, but it doesn't have to visually make sense. Um, I'm okay with there being a bit of an optical illusion quality to some of the connections between faces. You know, it's more about the emotion happening on the faces and it representing, I guess, a complexity of human emotion, rather than it trying to be like the intent with these ones. It's never like this is a creature that has these multiple faces. I mean, sometimes it is, right? Not never, but it's more about yeah, it's more about the emotion of it than it is about it specifically being supposed to be a creature. And so sometimes if you can just break the rules a bit with how you connect some of these things, I think that pushes it more toward that and further away from it feeling like you're trying to make a weird monster. Although I'm not opposed to making weird monsters. Okay, let's fix these fucking teeth. Oops, sorry about the language. I try to keep it clean for the live stream and inevitably fail every time. Let's see. Charlie says, let's see, an art teacher had us draw bunched up towels and it was super difficult. Drawing from 3D is definitely harder in my opinion. Yeah, that's a good exercise. There are towels and cloth in general. I've recommended this on the stream before, but Bern Hogarth's book on how to draw dynamic cloth is fantastic for learning how to draw cloth in a way that is both visually interesting and mostly realistic. although maybe it leans more towards visually interesting than realistic. But I just love the way he draws cloth, and I have used his techniques often. Undead of Night says, out of curiosity, what was the purpose of the grid? Was it just for spacing the faces? The purpose of the grid for me on this one was that, like, when I'm just loosely freehanding stuff, sometimes I don't keep composition in mind at all. I can just start going crazy with it, and then after I've already made a lot of progress, I realize that it's not super pleasing. I don't, the focal point is never necessarily focused, and it's just kind of hard for people to look at, right? So you always want to give them a focal point, and just knowing how this breaks into thirds told me basically the main thing is it informed the focus of this eye, this whole mouth eye thing, which is going to end up being the focal point, which will at the end of it is probably going to have the most amount of detail in there. So that's really all it is. You certainly don't need to do that. I could have just as easily eyeballed it and said, okay, this is about a third here and a third there. But I just did that because well, honestly, I didn't know necessarily what the composition was going to be early on. But yeah, you don't have to do that. And this is the first time I've done it on the live stream before, but I always try to show a little something new that you guys haven't seen before and just talk about it. I think it's important to know that there's just different ways to do things, and there's no necessarily wrong way or right way, but the more tools you can throw into your little bag of tricks, your arsenal of how to do things, that's just the more things you have at your disposal to call upon when you need to do something. So anyway, I like to just try to show different options for doing things. So I guess more than anything, that was the main purpose. Just to present a different way of doing stuff to you guys. There's another art show coming up at the Copro Gallery in Santa Monica um, shortly. It looks really cool. There's some cool artists in it, so I'm going to go check that out. Go to Copro, C-O-P-R-O gallery.com, and you can see all the info on that. I think that the art show is called Blam or something like that, but it's a group show, and there's lots of cool artists that I love in there. So that's worth checking out. And then, sorry, this is a very LA-centric art show promo here for everyone. There is a show at La Luz de Jesus from the artist Stephanie Inagaki, who is a really rad LA artist, and that's tomorrow night is the opening on that one. I hope I can make it, although I am in mid pre-production on this music video I'm directing, and the first of several shoot days is Saturday, so depending on how prepped I am for that shoot will depend on whether or not I can make the art show. But for those that can go see it, I recommend it. Stephanie's art is rad, and La Luz de Jesus is a cool gallery. That one is in Hollywood. And of course, as always, if anyone watching has any of your own shows or a friend's show or whatever you'd like to promote, feel free to tell everyone about it in the chat. This live stream is as much about you guys as it is about me. I want you guys to feel free to promote your own work and get the word out there. That's often underserved part of being an artist is promotion. It's so crucial. If like there are plenty of people who just love making art and aren't trying to make a career out of it, and that is absolutely cool and probably a nice way to be, right? Because you get the joy of making art and you don't have to worry about the headache of it. But for those of you who are trying to make a career out of it, you got to promote where you can, man. It's just part of the deal. Okay, for those joining the stream recently, you are watching Art Autopsy. It's a bi-weekly live stream with me, your host, Clint Carney. I'm a professional artist. I work in the film and television industry, showing galleries, all that jazz. So welcome, and we do this every other Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. 7 o'clock p.m. PST and Pacific Standard Time. So I always encourage everybody watching to make some art alongside me, make some art right at home. And if you come back every 2 weeks for the live stream, and if that's the thing that gives you the excuse to make some art, I am happy to provide that excuse. I give you full permission to make art. Now you have no reason not to. So thank you for watching, for all the new people who have joined into the stream. And of course, highly encourage you guys to participate in the live stream. If you do make a piece of art, participate in the chat rather. If you do make a piece of art and you want to share it with people, email it to me. My email address is clintcarneycreates@gmail.com, and I will share it on an upcoming live stream. So yeah, I'm just gonna block in some tone here. I suspect, even though this is kind of tacky, it's just not dry enough. I don't think I'm going to get into the color today, unfortunately, on that. Because if I were to, so when I glaze color, I always mix it with the medium liquid. But if the underpainting isn't dry enough, you will end up just kind of erasing what you've done as you go over it with the liquid mixed paint, and that is certainly not what I want to do. So we're actually getting pretty close to just calling it a night on this particular painting, and I'm just gonna have to let it dry. But I'd love to know what you guys think, and if you can, please like the video, leave a comment. It just helps people find my YouTube channel. And if you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. Would love to have you on board. And you can find links to this channel and to my Patreon and my online store for prints and original art and all that stuff at clintcarney.com. So go check that out sometime. All right, yeah, I think that's as far as I'm going to get for the night. I'm going to call it a night on this painting, and we're going to end the stream shortly, and then I'm going to pop on a VHS and work on another painting offline. Oh, the Copro show is called Blab. Thank you, Julie, for that. Yeah, it's a reoccurring group show. Yeah, super cool. Undead Night says, can't wait to see how this evolves in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Charlie says, good night. Good night to Charlie. Good night, Jennifer. Good night, Liz. Good night, Bill. Good night, Undead of Night. Good night, everybody who's watched. And thank you guys so much for watching and participating in the chat. Julie B., thank you so much. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. All right. Have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.